speaker today is Shaykh Mokthar Maghroui. He received his Islamic education in Algeria before coming to the US and received his PhD in electrical engineering from Syracuse University. He has served as an imam in the state of New York and is a Central Shura member of the Islamic Circle of North America and a member of the Scholars Council of North America. He is a former member of the Fiqh Council of North America and is an active participant of interfaith dialogue with Jewish and Christian communities in the Capital District of New York State. And inshallah, I'll be passing the mic on to him.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's always a lot of time to state about some information about the Islam and Shura member of the ICNN all as forward so long time decades of the Jazakallah al khair. Inshallah ta'ala, it's good to be here with you, dear sisters and brothers, for these few hours here. I can't promise. Yeah, inshallah. خير, so we start inshallah. Bismillah, الذي لا إله سواه الواحد الأحد الفرد الصمد الذي لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد والحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه أبدا سرمدا حمدا يليق بجلال وجهه وبعظيم سلطانه وبجزيل نعمائه والصلاة والسلام على نبيه المصطفى المجتبى محمد الصادق الأمين الرسول المبين المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وعلى آله الطاهرين الطيبين وأصحابه الغر الميامين والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين اللهم اجعلنا منهم آمين. Alhamdulillah, it is, I believe, good, it is right, and it is special that students, such as in this University of Stony Brook, Muslim students, young Muslim students, chose that they come and sit and listen to a few sessions about the value and the condition and the trait and the characteristic of sabr, patience, as the title you chose was Persevering in Patience, the way of the prophets. It is very special and very interesting because usually when people are young, when we are young, many people are not inclined to listen to or to talk about things that are abstract, things that are not directly tangible, things that are not directly material, things that are not immediate, let alone about patiently persevering. Yet, it is very fundamental and very, very important. And we begin by, in the next few minutes we have first, in this first session, to underline something essential in human nature. We, as human beings, as you all know, we not only eat, we not only drink, we not only sleep, we not only marry, we not only play. That is not what characterizes us as human beings. We're not only material entities. We're not only matter. We're not only clay. We're not only dust. We're not only time-bound elements, such as matter. Matter is time-bound, not time-free. For we think, and we know, and we feel, and we love, and we hate, and we fear, and we hope, and we desire, and we dream. And some dreams even come true. Dreams that we experience in our sleep come even true. Dreams about the future, knowledge about the future. This is not the characteristic of a material entity. This is not the characteristic of a solely physical reality. This is not the characteristic of something that came by accident. We dream even, and even dream come true. We are much more than a physical entity. We're much more than a compilation of molecules. We are that creation called insan. Called insan. And in the Arabic language, insan, from also the far root of uns, namely solace, an internal comfort, an internal intimacy. An insan is not truly an insan until he or she experiences that uns, that internal solace and intimacy with the Divine Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and also with whom others find uns, with whom others find uns, that intimacy, insan. Otherwise, we are not fully an insan. And at least in the Arabic language is called a wahsh. A wahsh, a beast, a wild animal. And interestingly, the opposite of uns, a root for insan, human being, the opposite of it is wahsha. And wahsha from wahsh, from wild beast and animal. And a person who is not in uns is in a wahsha. And wahsha is a characteristic of an animal. Because a wahsh is a wild animal. If internally I am not in uns, I am in wahsha. If internally I am not in internal peace and intimacy with the divine, and others do not find that condition with me and in my company, then I am more like a wahsh, like a wild beast. And sometimes someone who is alone and cannot stand to be alone, we say in Arabic, he or she is in wahsha. He or she is in wahsha, that state of being animal-like. When I am alone and I feel wahsha, and I feel anxiety and scare, and I feel very restless and uncomfortable and afraid because I'm alone with me, and me is not in uns, is in wahsha, and therefore I am in that wahsh, in the company of that wahsh with me, and I'm afraid from me. I'm not a true insan. An insan feels, an insan is in uns, an insan dreams. An insan is not a compilation of molecules. An insan is not matter only. An insan is not only an entity that eats and sleeps, and copulates and plays and runs and so on. An insan is much more than that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, telling us about the early human genesis. And He subhanahu wa ta'ala recounts for us how the human being was created and were, in inverted commas, the human being was before, when we were in the genome of our own father, Adam. We were at home in Jannah, weren't we? We were at home in Jannah, in the genome of our father Adam, and then mother Hawa. And we were there in uns with Allah Azza wa Jal. We were in uns with Allah Azza wa Jal. We were a full insan in that sense. And then we made a mistake. And in making that mistake, we had to leave home. And then we are given a chance to come back home by the magnanimity and the merciful love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's like saying, you have a chance to come back home. And this time when you come back home, it would be inshallah forever if you come back home to me, if you do this and that, and you follow this path back home to me. Number two, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشْعَرًا مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَئٍ مَسْنُونٍ. I'm going to create, said he to the angels, a human being, a bashar. The word bashar has many beautiful connotations and implications. We do not have time to expound on that. I'm going to create a human being, min salsal, from clinging clay. Min hama'in masnoon, made of that salsal, that clay is a result of hama' masnoon, stinking mixture of mud. Masnoon. Smells foul. Maybe CH4, etc. Combination of something. Also sulfur, and all those that make it smell stench. This is what he said you were as far as your external reality is concerned. إِنِّي خَالِقٌ بَشَرًا مِنْ صَلْصَالٍ مِنْ حَمَئٍ مَسْنُونٍ. This is what our external appearance is of origin. No matter what you look like, or you don't look like, underneath that mask, and when you decompose that mask, you go to the origins of that mask, further into matter, the origin of that is hama'un masnoon. No one should elevate himself or herself above anybody else's standard or level because of the way they look. That's what it means. Don't forget what you are, and Allah makes us remember that all the time by the very way we look at ourselves and the origin of ourselves physically, so that we humble ourselves always, no matter what happens. We remember this zahir, this manifest external reality of ours, and we do not forget that. And we humble ourselves, and we even lower ourselves, so that we continue forever to be always, voluntarily, knowingly, necessarily, abd of Allah Azza wa Jal, servant, slave, a loving abd of Allah Azza wa Jal, the servitude for which we were created, the servitude that actually, of course, liberates and frees the individual and makes him or her truly, nobly happy. Truly, nobly happy. There is noble happiness and there is base and low happiness. And secondly, he says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the angel, فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. And then when I complete him and fashion him and breathe into him of my spirit, then prostrate yourselves down to him. The angel are commended when and after Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breathes into this form that He created from matter, from clay, which He did before. Only then, after breathing the soul, the spirit from Him, Azza wa Jal, of Him, then you lay yourselves prostrate to Him. SubhanAllah. Not when He completed Him in His physical, material origin and then form and shape. He didn't say to them, then lay yourselves prostrate. Only after breathing into Him the ruh, He says, lay prostrate yourselves to Him. What does this mean? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made worth for the angels to lay themselves prostrate is on account of the soul in the human being, the spirit in the human being, the ruh in the human being, the meaning in the human being, not the physical reality. What does this say tell you? You are a human being, a real human being, not on account of your physical nature and reality, but on account of your ruh. What made the angels lay prostrate themselves to you is your ruh. You are a human being not on account of an aquatic origin, not on account of a clay origin, or if you will, not on account of an origin which was in accordance to the neo-Darwinist vision, which was something not even human. That is not why you are a human being. You are a human being on account of the ruh that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breathed into you. The values you carry inside of you. The meaning you are inside of you. That's what a human being is. أنت بالروح لا بالجسم. أنت إنسان بالروح لا بالجسم. You are a human being on account, again, I repeat, of your ruh, of your qalb, of your meaning, of your values, not on account of your body. So do not spend more time and emphasis preserving and safeguarding and promoting and embellishing and adorning and caring and preserving the body at the expense of ruh. Do you see the point? I am a human being on account of my ruh, and I spend as an individual, as collective entities, sometimes as societies, as civilization, I spend most of the energies that I have in promoting the external, in the different aspects of my life, forgetting that which makes me a human being. Your values. And this, as the first characteristic, me being body, reminds me of being humble, reminds me of being low, reminds me of being, actually I shall come later to say other things. Also, my nature as a ruh, as a spirit, reminds me of seeking higher levels, of wanting to connect with that who breathed in me, this ruh, to connect in with that spiritual origin of mine that comes from the divine. That potential is in me. That reality is in me. So that's why some human beings seek to connect with the divine. And therefore, as human beings, we need to adorn and embellish ourselves morally and spiritually to be able to connect with our origin, so to speak. The divine, subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's in us. And when we ignore that, when we forget that, we are ignoring our reality, our essence, who we are. And we're taking a false, elusive path to an end that is not meant for us. Do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean? And therefore, this is all an introduction to sabr. And therefore, Shaitan, the devil, who did not understand this, refused to lay himself prostrate to the human being, to Adam. And he said what? What did he say? Tell me. In meaning, in English, what did he say? You don't know? You're Stony Brook alumni. You should know. Muslims. What did he say? What did he say? That's right. He says, I'm better than he. You made me of fire and you made him of clay. That's what he said. So what does this mean? Be analytical. What does this mean? What is he in reality saying? What is he saying? You made me of fire, you made him of clay. I'm sorry? I'm better than him. Because this is just clay. And I'm fire. Fire burns clay. Fire is superior, he thought, in its origin than clay. It's just clay. Shaitan, in other words, looked at what? At this human being simply as what? As an external reality. That's all he looked at. رأى نظر إلى بشرية آدم ولم ينظر إلى ما حوى آدم في باطنه من معاني خلقها الله تعالى وجعلها فيه. The devil looked at the external reality and origin of the human being and ignored or did not see or was veiled from seeing and understanding the internal meaning and reality and potential that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created or made in the human being. The ruh, and what the ruh means of knowledge and of feeling and of values and of knowing God, the potential of knowing God, the attributes of God, the apparent and the hidden. Subhanallah, he did not see that. He saw only the appearance. He did not see meanings, the abstract inside the human being. So, he says, I'm better than you. I do not lay myself prostrate to someone created of clay. But subhanallah, the malaika, the angels who were created even from an element more superior than fire, which is what? Which is what? Light. Nor they themselves following the command of God, of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did not show arrogance. They did not show delusion. And delusion is the condition in which we assess ourselves more than what we really are. They lay themselves prostrate to Adam. They obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so, it means that some of us human beings who look at the human being, at themselves, as only external entities made of matter, will make the mistake that Shaitan has made. They see the human being simply as a compilation of particles. And the end of which, or of whom, is when those particles also disintegrate. then they look at the human being as shaitan looks at the human being. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla says to us, don't be like that. Don't be like shaitan. Don't let shaitan delude you. Don't do that. He's a deluded deluder. He's a deluded deluder. Allah teaches that in the Quran. لا يغرنكم بالله الغرور. لا يغرنكم. This is the act of deluding others. الغرور, the extreme deluded one. Why is shaitan the extreme deluded one? He assessed himself much more than he really was in the knowledge of the divine subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't let him delude you. Don't allow him to make you think in that line and behave in your lives in accordance to that philosophy, if you will, of life. You are not just matter. You are values. You are meaning. You are eternal beauty. You are internal beauty. You have that beautiful potential internally through beauty that is not physical, but that is abstract, spiritual, and moral, intellectual. That's what makes you human being. Allah says in the Quran, يَا بَنِي آدَمَ لَا يَفْتِنَنَّكُمُ الشَّيْطَانِ كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة ينزع عنهما لباسهما. All children of Adam, do not allow shaitan to draw you into fitna, to allure you, thus to cause you to deviate from the path that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has traced for you. Don't allow him to draw you into fitna. Fitna is when you leave deliberately your orientation that is divine on account of who you are in reality, to leave it for something else and to go somewhere else and not to want to come back home anymore and you want to go away. Don't let shaitan do that as he did that to your parents before. You're both of your parents, father and mother. And he caused them to leave Jannah. He caused them to leave Jannah. And even in this dunya, every time we break away from that path of the divine, which is very harmonious with our nature, we will go away from the garden of this world, the garden of eternal peace, the garden of eternal uns, I spoke about earlier, the garden of eternal spiritual intimacy with Allah Azza wa Jalla. The more we deviate away from that, the more we are going to lose presence and opportunity in Jannah. First of all, Jannah of this dunya, garden of this dunya, the garden in your heart of peace, of security, of serenity, of tranquility, of contentment, of satisfaction, of fulfillment, of peace when others are afraid, of hope when others have no hope, of knowledge of the divine and spiritual internal chest expansion when others are constricted. And of course, Jannah, the ultimate Jannah after death. Don't let shaitan do that to you. He reminds us, subhanahu. So my spiritual nature, the ruh that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala breathed into me and breathes into me, is what makes me yearn for Him Azza wa Jalla. But sometimes what we do is we strangulate that internal nature in us by making it suffocate, like when we suffocate our lungs. Our lungs are meant to breathe clean air, and then we keep smoking and smoking, and we give our lungs